Good morning and welcome on board what is going to be an incredibly beautiful sunrise safari here in the Sabi Sands. We've got Jandre manning the camera, bringing you these beautiful views. And take a look at this as he zooms out. Some incredible colors and rays of bright orange sunshine. Look at that. Good morning from Africa. And we hope you are all looking forward to the adventure. Like I said, this is a spectacular, spectacular scene. And hopefully some more spectacular scenes will unfold in the next 3 hours as we explore Djuma. We've got a bit of a different plan today, and that is that James and I are both armed with small little cameras that we are hoping to try and put down near a dwarf mongoose home, probably a termitarium that they live in. So that's a kind of little challenge that we've set for ourselves to see if we can get any cool footage with a little camera of some dwarf mongooses. So that's something we haven't done before, and we are both set out for that quest. Like most quests that we will perform out here, it will often lose traction or may vary in direction as we may find other tracks or hear alarm calls, but that is one of the goals for the morning. I'm going to be checking the southern boundary whilst looking for any dwarf mongooses, and the reason why I'm going to do that is that I'm hoping that Karula, a female leopard, is going to have come back onto Djuma. Her tracks indicated that she crossed out of our property yesterday. Hey, Jandre, look what's coming to visit us here at about 11 o'clock. It's going to be difficult to see, but there's a large, large beast making its way directly towards us. How cool is this? Morning. Wow. And I've just heard another massive branch breaking behind us. So there's another elephant here. Jason, you said you were hoping for some elephants this morning. Look at this. Absolutely beautiful. This is a elephant bull. And there's, I'm sure, another one behind us. I can also see James's vehicle behind us. So I think he's going to be in position with the other bull that I've just heard breaking what sounded to be a massive branch. It was either that or the vehicle that James is in is making some funny noises. Well, this is my kind of a safari. You just park in one place and let the animals come strolling straight past you. Okay, well, we're going to continue on with my plan to check the southern boundary, and we're going to leave James to continue this elephant sighting with you. He does also have visuals of the other bulls, so why don't you jump onto his vehicle and we will catch up a bit later.
Good morning everybody, and there is an elephant, obviously. My name is James. Brian is on camera. Hello, Brian.
Hello, James.
Show us your thumb.
Oh, it's too zoomed in.
Too zoomed in. We can't show you the thumb yet. Sorry about that. We will demonstrate it to you shortly. We're obviously, as Scott said, also on a live safari. Just behind him, I can see him disappearing off into the wilderness as we speak. And this is part of the same little herd of elephants that he was looking at. Now, the exciting part of the morning, of course, is that we are back on Wendy. For those of you who are regular viewers, you will know that that is the recalcitrant old bat that we call the name that we give to the recalcitrant old bat that is one of the vehicles that we're on. And she started today, which is a positive thing. Whether she will start again remains to be seen. We hold thumbs, especially in the wake of the fact that we're looking at elephants. Ah, look, there's Brian's thumb. Now, Please do talk to us during the course of the drive. Hashtag Safari Live if you're on the tweet. Questions at WildEarth.TV if you'd like to talk to us on the email. Otherwise, the YouTube chatty thing works as well. That elephant that you can see center frame there has just pushed that tree over. But you can see that the particular tree that it's eating has been pushed over more than once. And all it does is change direction and grow the other way. There, the particular piece that's being reached for now, look, that is growing out of a horizontal trunk and was replacing and becoming the main trunk. It's now going to become not the main trunk anymore. This is amazing. Look at the foot up. Hello, Michelle in New Jersey. Interesting comment. You say you've missed the last 2 drives and you feel like you've missed a week of soap. I'm slightly distressed that we are being compared with a soap opera. I'm sure I'll get over it during the course of the day. You can call me Ridge Forrester if you like. That's a very poor joke. Michelle, as with most soap operas, you will catch up within seconds as to what's been going on. I'm just going to sit here with a little while watching Zelly. We might try and sneak a little bit closer, just so that I can give you a view of that tree and the savagery to which it's been subjected. Brian, that didn't sound particularly good, did it?
No, not at all.
No. I'm going to ease closer here because I want you to see the extent that this tree has been butchered over the last little while. And it's an amazingly resilient tree, obviously, because it's still living. It's been pushed and pulled over probably 3 or 4 times during its life, and you can see that it has survived well. And it's managed to do that because it's evolved with elephants. I'm just going to be quite quiet because we're quite close to them. You can see they're all quite young elephants. They're not particularly worried by us. You see this tree? So that main trunk there that Brian is shining on is what would I say, Brian? Focusing on there, that main trunk there. You can see the middle bit there is now the main trunk and didn't used to be. You can see the actual main trunk's just been snapped off. But before that, the whole reason that there are 3 or 4 trunks coming out of the ground there is because the tree has been pushed over so many times. It's just amazing to me. And all around these clearings, there are trees like this that have actually formed sort of bushes of their own because they've been pushed over so many times and they've got so many trunks coming out of the ground now. Hello, R. Beard. Good morning to you, and this is the most beautiful morning. You will see the sun coming up just now, and you want to know how it is that we keep elephants out of our living quarters. Well, largely, this is not a facetious answer, they will struggle to fit through the door where we live, but they also will avoid human noise. They won't want to come near a camp. If we were in a camp, and it does happen, of course, where there was a lot of green vegetation, we had gardens and obviously leafy green delicious trees for the elephants to eat, you'd find that they spend a lot more time in the camp. But there isn't really that case now where we live. Then around the FC there is, but there is a fence around the FC, and so they can't get really through that fence. They could if they really wanted to, but it is electrified, which means that they will get zinged. Interestingly, there are many camps around here that have what we call an elephant fence, which is just a fence that keeps elephants out. It's a 2-strand fence that sits about probably 5 foot or 5.5 feet above the ground, and that's just to give elephants a little hook if they try and touch the fence. but they're so clever that sometimes they will learn how to avoid them. So I've seen an elephant figure out which was the earth wire and which was the live wire, and then pull the fence down using the earth wire. I've seen an elephant pick a piece of branch up and hit the fence down, so without making contact with its own skin. And I've also seen them go to the pillars where the fence, or the posts where the fence is attached, and push those over and then step over the fence. So I mean, they really are very clever indeed. You just see the picture starting to lighten. It's always amazing to me how quickly the light comes on a day like this. I think it's going to be another hot day, but it certainly hasn't been, I think we're over the heat hump. It hasn't been as hot as, it doesn't feel as desperately hot, and I think we're heading gently into the autumn, which will still be pretty hot by most of the world's standards, but for us, very pleasant indeed. If you're ever feeling a little bit, I suppose, tense or worried that all is not right with the world, a little bit of time with elephants like this can really solve that issue, especially when they're being so peaceful and confiding around us. There's something very old about them. Hello, Liz in Wisconsin. You say that you have loved elephants since you were a little kid. Well, I have loved elephants too since I was a little kid, Brian. There we go. There was just a small picture flicker. Yeah, I don't think it affected you though. So this is going to be happening to trees all around the reserve at this stage. Because of the drought, elephants have rejected the pathetic offerings of grass that the earth is offering them up at the moment, and they are eating the trees. Which means that, can you imagine if the drought was to persist for the next little while? I think she's actually scratching a foot there. It's hilarious. If this drought persists, can you imagine the change in the height of the vegetation and the structure of the vegetation? There are lots and lots of elephants in the Kruger National Park area, and they will profoundly alter the shape of the vegetation. Janice, you want to know how the elephants survive during the drought. Well, at this stage of the drought, Janice, all they're doing is moving on to their winter feed. And their winter feed, or dry season feed, would be exactly what they're eating now. Trees and leaves and bark. I haven't seen many eating bark. I think that's because some of the trees still have leaves on them, but they're largely eating their kind of winter forage at the moment. Now, when the winter actually does come in full force and the dry season really takes hold, they're going to struggle to find enough to eat. And I think it might be a difficult time. But we'll only know that later on, and we'll only know that after we've seen if we're going to get any late rain. And Mark Tilbury, exactly, it was just kind of what I was alluding to earlier. You were saying, do trees evolve to survive elephants? Yes, completely they do. You can see this tree is not dead. If you did that to the average pine tree that you find in North America, or perhaps some of the other trees that you get up there, if you broke them at the main trunk, I think you'd find the tree would die very quickly. Out here, there are very few trees that when pushed over don't coppice or sprout from the ground where they've been pushed over. And there are very few trees that can't handle a certain amount of ring barking or debarking, which very few trees can. And the most obvious example is the marula tree, which you can see the trunk sticking out the back of that elephant, just sort of, he's facing it now. That big tree there, thank you, Brian. That's a marula tree, and the marula tree, of course, has evolved with elephants, and it has a number of adaptations to dealing with elephants, the most interesting of which, I think, is that the fruit doesn't ripen on the tree. The fruit ripens on the ground. And elephants love marula fruit, and so they drop the fruits onto the ground before they ripen, and that means that the elephants will not push the trees over when they want to eat the fruits. It's rather a brilliant arrangement. The elephants don't eat the unripe fruit. But most of the trees out here will have some kind of adaptation to dealing with the machinations of elephants. Eric in Virginia Beach, you're interested in to know why it is that an animal might have longer front legs than back legs, and is there advantage to it? Eric, I think it's purely a function. I don't think it's so much a function of the legs, but a function of the weight that has to be borne, and then a function of what those limbs are used for. So an elephant obviously has a massive head, a massive skull, and the trunk is also extremely heavy, and so it's got to support that mass. I think you'll find that's why the musculature and size in the front is larger than that at the back. They also, of course, their back legs aren't necessarily shorter so much as hidden behind the largeness of their elephantine bottoms. So, I mean, the leg actually goes quite a long way up into that sort of back half of the elephant. But the most obvious example of an animal that has very long front legs and short back legs would be a hyena. That's an adaptation for stamina, and it's also an adaptation to the carrying. Look at this. What these elephants are looking at, Brian.
I don't know.
Suddenly they've turned, they've gone silent, and they've stopped feeding. Now, I did see some impala running around earlier. That's fascinating. Look at that. They've either heard, smelt, or seen something. They've opened their ears out, which is a slight sign of alarm. It's not us, because they'll face the threat. I'm just going to move around. I wonder if something isn't chasing those impala down there. Unless there's another herd that they're hearing. So Eric, as I said, the most obvious example would be a hyena or a wildebeest with their long front legs and short back legs. In the wildebeest case, an adaptation for stamina. That's not the case for an elephant, I don't think. And now they've kind of split up. One of them's gone down there, one of them's gone straight. I'm going to follow this one, because I think this one in front of us here has seen something it doesn't like. It's going to go and look what it is. Now, an elephant will react like that to a predator. If it smells or sees a predator, even though the predator poses absolutely no threat at all, they may well react to a predator like that. There are the impala, but they definitely don't look particularly terrified.
Morning, Jan.
So let's just stick with this little one for now. Maybe caught a whiff of a leopard on the air. Brian, look at this impala hiding in the bush there. That's very odd. That is very odd. So I think these are 3 young elephant bulls, everyone, and they've probably just left the herd. Maybe they haven't quite left the herd, and there's another herd around here, and the matriarch was calling, and that's why they all perked up and listened. Now, as I said, you can see the trees around here have all been hammered in the same way that Terminalia sericea or silver cluster leaf has. This is a different kind of tree. And you can see it's in the same state. It's become a bush rather than a tree. Hello, Bash in Canada. That's an interesting name. I doubt it's the name your mother gave you. Bash, you want to know if an elephant would care about a bird's nest when they're browsing. Do they worry about bird's nest? I can say almost categorically, no, I don't think they would. I don't think that they would eat a nestling bird if it came squealing out of a tree. You know what, they might avoid if there was a noise coming out of a nest of nestlings. They might avoid that, you know. They are very sensitive to sound. And, you know, quite apart from the inconvenience of eating a nestling bird when you happen to be a herbivore, I think the sound would probably put them off. So maybe, yeah. But I don't think that they would necessarily think about it. It's actually an interesting question, and we do know that elephants are, well, we think that they are pretty emotionally in tune. You know, we know that they are, I mean, the term sentient being is possibly a little bit esoteric for this time of the morning, but we probably do think that they're a lot more conscious emotionally than many other animals. And so maybe. There's impala just running around in the clearing in front of us there. Can't see them with the camera. Yes. I think he's just heard the sound of Wendy starting and wondered how it is the car could possibly be sounding that dreadful after its prolonged sojourn in the hospital. So a young elephant bull, and so behavior like this wouldn't particularly terrify us. Were he to be much larger, we'd probably think about moving away. But all he's doing is saying hello. He's also deciding, you know, he doesn't really know what his strengths and weaknesses are at this stage. He's like a sort of 18-year-old. Hello, Sharon, an interesting one we were just chatting about. Oh, look, he's putting his trunk in his mouth. That's a kind of displacement behavior. Hi. Now, Sharon, you look into his eye. You said you wanted to know, if you look into an elephant's eye, do you get the impression that there's something there? You look in there. You tell me. He's eating some heliotropum flowers now. I don't know if it's in the eyes, but I get a sense from them, certainly, that there's a conversation going on of sorts where they are, I mean, he's talking to us there. He's shaking his foot, and it's basically saying, I'm feeling a little awkward, but I'm quite enjoying having a little bit of a look around. I'm a bit bored with walking around desperately trying to find enough to eat. Now the sun has finally decided that it's going to come up over the horizon, so let's go to Scott, who has found it.
Well, isn't this a wonderful scene? And happy that those elephants continued to entertain you and James. Jean and I have been checking the southern boundary. So far, only tracks of 2 honey badgers coming into Djuma, and also a fairly large herd of buffalo. So I was hoping we were going to find some lion tracks trailing the buff, but no joy. So we are just going to continue down. Just down in this dip that we're about to get into is where we saw Karula's tracks. I'm guessing it was Karula, a female leopard, crossed out of Djuma yesterday morning, and I'm hoping she is going to have returned. Erlene, you've mentioned that you'd love to see a leopard this morning, and so would all of us. It's been tough going regarding the leopard viewing over the last couple of weeks. The last time we saw Karula was basically 2 weeks ago. It'll be 2 weeks tomorrow. And that was when she was hissing at Tingana at the Djuma waterhole, and we were doing some moonlight, late night safari testing that some of you will remember. For those of you who haven't met me, I'm Scott. You didn't get to see me earlier. You just heard me yabbering on about the beautiful sunrise. And it's a great pleasure to have you on board. I've got Jean-Andre, like I said, on camera. Hello, Boyd in North Carolina, and I'm going to miss you guys as well, don't you worry. Only 4 more drives for me, so the clock is ticking and it's approaching very rapidly, which is quite daunting. And you've kindly mentioned that you would like to see whatever's on my kind of Djuma bucket list here, and I know I've mentioned the African rock python is high up there. Another high action takedown of a predator displaying its speed and agility would also be something that would be great to see. And I was chatting with Nikki about it the other day. There's obviously a bit of a sensitive subject, that of kills being made by the predators. I'm just going to check carefully on this road here. No tracks that I can see at a glance. And it's not the actual killing that I like to see, but it's the display of any predator's agility and stealth that is so seldom captured on film or just seen or experienced, that I enjoy the excitement of the hunt. It's not the actual killing part, though. That obviously usually gets everyone a little bit uncomfortable, varying degrees of discomfort. I guess the last kind of kill that was seen was with James and the Nkuhuma Pride, and that was a really tough one to watch. The lions had really taken down the zebra, and it took quite a while for it to die. And nobody enjoys seeing that, but the precursor to that, the thrill of the stalk and the chase, is what I get really excited about. So that would be another thing that I'd like to see. If only captured 1 kill in over a year of being here. Hello to Jill Anderson, who is lucky enough to be coming here with her husband in June. That's awesome, awesome news. It's a wonderful time of year to come in June. Although it'll be interesting to see what state the weather is in, or sorry, the vegetation is in by then, because obviously the drought is having quite a large impact on what's going on with the vegetation. If there's lots of snakes around at that time, there are probably not too many. But yes, we do get pythons here. We don't get any anacondas, but there's quite a large amount of different snakes that you will see out here, if you are lucky enough, but it's fairly seldom that we actually do see them. Okay, we found some tracks here. It's not of what we were looking for, but it's of a very, very interesting nocturnal animal. These tracks, and these tracks over here, are the interesting claw marks and toe marks of an aardvark. This would have been a right foot. You can kind of see the 3 toes there. It's mainly the 3 toes that are clearly evident. Then the 4th and the 5th leave a small depression over there. Here's, if we move across, here's a left, 3 long toes in the middle for digging, and the 2 side toes over there. So a rare ant bear or aardvark crossed this road in the wee hours of the morning, and I'll show you a quick picture of what it looks like now. It's a bizarre animal, the aardvark. I'll just use this little picture on the back, it'll be the easiest. Take a look at that. That's who crossed the road there. I'm actually going to do one better. Let me find the picture in the book, because they do show the tracks in the book, and then that way you'll be able to get a better idea of what exactly the tracks look like. So here we go. There you can see it's mainly those 3 toes that are evident, but you saw that the 4th and the 5th are also evident in these tracks here. They're just not often easy to see, and these are the predominant toes that you will see. Very good. That's one animal that I've never got to show you guys, so we can add that one to the bucket list, but I fear that the chances of seeing that is very slim, as we don't spend time out late enough. All right, well, we're going to continue scouring the southern boundary to see if anything else come into Djuma, and we will be sending you games while we do that.
Hello everybody, we have just left the elephants basically to go and seek out some mongoose, the dwarf variety that we want to try and film with the GoPro. We haven't found any yet. I basically want to find some that have just come out onto their mound to rest in this rising sun. We'll chase them back inside, quickly put up the GoPro and then leave. And then I think they'll probably come out at some stage and investigate. Of course, whether or not my GoPro battery will last long enough for them to come out or not is another question. And drive a little quicker. Apparently there's a mound where they often come near Zoe's Road. Hello, Jelly 9. Jelly Lime? Jelly Lime or Jenny Lime? Yes, I've got that bit, Nicola. I need the first bit. Is it Jelly or Jenny? Oh, Jelly, as in the pudding. Jelly Lime. Hello, Jelly Lime. Again, I'm not sure that your mother gave you that name, and you want to know if this is live. Well, Jelly Lime, it's as live as you and me. We are live in the wilderness here in the northern eastern corner of South Africa, as evidenced by the fact that I'm now speaking to you probably 40 seconds after you sent your question through. So thank you for taking the time to tune in. Thank you especially for getting hold of us and sending us a question. I'm just hearing a squirrel alarm call, so let's just stop quickly. Squirrels are notorious liars. There are also some guinea fowl alarming. Let's just go along that road there. It's a road called Ingwe Alley, which means leopard alley. Maybe a leopard lying there, perhaps, with any luck. In which case the mongoose will have to take a very back seat. So, Jelly Lime, thank you for talking to us, and please do feel comfortable to ask us any questions you like, and next time you talk to us, tell us where you're watching from. It would be very nice to know. Jelly Lime. It's made me want some pudding. Are you hungry, Brian? Slightly peckish for some lime jelly. My mother always drinks a lime milkshake, right? There's a fact you didn't know about me. Hello, Tagger6. Interesting question from you. Do plant-eating animals live longer than the carnivores out here? Yes, they do actually. I mean, for animals of equivalent size, they most certainly live longer. Those guinea fowl are going crazy. Something's going on here. You just hear them going. So, Tagger6, the most long-lived animal out here, of course, is the elephant. Will live to about 55 or 60 years, sometimes 65 if it's a really old fellow. Just keep an eye out here, everyone. And the longest living carnivore would be a lion, living only to maybe, well, lion and leopard, living to an absolute outside maximum of 16 to 17 years. wonder what's going on here. There's the guinea fowl. Is it? Up there in the tree. This main tree, there's just a blob there, Brian. Oh, I've seen something. It's been distressed by some form of predator, and that's why it's sitting in the tree there. Where does it look like it's looking? Towards the drainage line. So there's a dry stream to the right-hand side of your picture, in fact straight over the top of that guinea fowl. And I wonder if there isn't a predator there. Go a little bit forward and then turn on and come slowly back. Hello, Ainsl's Aegis. Ainsl's Aegis, you too are on YouTube and possibly a new viewer. Wonderful to have you along. You say, do we ever come across the human animal? You haven't seen any cars or people. No, we're on a private game reserve in the middle of the Kruger Park. So, no, we might come across the odd game drive from one of the lodges. Just excuse me not looking you in the eye, Ainsel. We're just having a look to see if we can't find whatever that guinea fowl has been distressed by. But we might come across the odd game drive from the other lodges around the area. So, Cheetah Plains, we sometimes see their cars, Arathusa, Djuma, but that is seldom. So quite often it's just us out here. And you'll find Scott and I on our own, and then Jamie and Brent when they're not holidaying. The guinea fowl stopped shouting. There's some oxpeckers calling to the south there. The guinea fowl's just landed on the ground in front of us, which means that whatever was irritating it is obviously not close by. It's almost like they're saying, are you all right? Looked like a terrible ordeal you went through. What did you see? Leopard. Saw a leopard. But it ran away. We're okay, everyone. Let's just fossick about in this piece of dung. That'll be nice. We'll all be comforted by eating some termites out of this dung. Doesn't that look like a nice breakfast, Brian?
Very tasty.
Tasty buffalo dung for breakfast. Sandblaster. You want to know the animals' alarm call at the vehicles? No, they don't sandblaster. They tend to be fairly immune to us at this stage. They might move away if you get a little bit closer, or move to within what they consider a safe distance. But otherwise, no, they're not. They won't alarm call at us. They can sometimes alarm call at people on foot, but I've never had a car alarm call at a vehicle. They just don't associate the vehicle with a threat, or certainly with a predator. The peaceful sound now of the helmeted guinea fowl as it fossicks about looking for invertebrates in the dung. Hello, Vasha in Michigan. We're looking at some guinea fowl. A smaller thing calling to the side of us is a white-browed scrub robin going. And you say the American robin is your favorite bird, and you want to know if we get thrushes here. We get robins, and we do get two species of thrush here. One is the olive thrush, and the other is the ground scraper thrush. Those are the two main ones that we get here. We don't see them commonly. I want to move on, everyone, just in case there is a leopard walking along the drainage line here. So we're going to leave these guinea fowl to their dung. This is actually quite an interesting sighting, though. Just quickly. Sorry, Brian. You can see them there digging in the dung. Now, they don't eat dung, but they will be looking for the termites that are eating the dung, and the other animals, maybe dung beetle larvae, Not going to find many dung beetles here at the moment. This is actually a really good sighting of them. So lots of animals, of course, eat dung. Lots of invertebrates, and that's what the guinea fowls will be looking to try and get. There they go. All right, we're going to hand you back to Scott. He's in the Far East at the moment. Let's see what exotic oriental things he can find there. And we'll continue here and try and find what that guinea fowl was yelling at.
You may have just heard and got a glimpse of that parrot flying past. Well done, Jandre. That was a brown-headed parrot. And it's the only parrot we get in this part of the Sabi Sands. There are two others that we get further north of us in the Kruger National Park. And I know James did just mention that you may be heading across to see what exotic creatures we may find, and I guess that is one of the more exotic type birds of the region, even though they are here throughout the year and they do belong here. So we are now on the eastern boundary, heading north up towards the Buffelshoek waterhole eventually, if we make it that far. There was a couple of big male lions off to the east, off to our right last night. Maybe they would have come into Djuma. There's been no sign of the Inkohuma ladies for a while, so hopefully they'll also come back from wherever they've been hiding out. Interestingly, saw another set of aardvark tracks coming into Djuma. They were bigger than the last ones. So that's just interesting fact that there are two aardvark safely nestled in their burrows underground, probably fast asleep already. So interesting that some of these animals work the night shift. Ava Brooks, you mentioned that you'd love to see some honey badgers, as would I. Sadly, the Sabi Sands is just not the best place to see honey badgers, and out of all the time we've spent out here, we've only managed to get them on camera a handful of times. My sum total of honey badger sightings is one, moja in Kiswahili, one sighting of the honey badgers, but in other parts of Africa you may get better visuals of them, and other of the interesting kind of more nocturnal animals, the aardvark, serval, caracal. But the Sabi Sands is not the place to do that, sadly. But who knows, maybe we'll get lucky. I think James has been the luckiest out of all of us regarding honey badger sightings. I think he's got 2 or 3 under the belt already. So good thing that he's also out this morning. Hello, Karen in Oregon. And yes, you are correct. We will be doing a fireside chat the last half an hour of the safari tomorrow night. Not on Sunday. Tomorrow will be Nikki and my last day here at Wild Earth, so we're just going to be doing the fireside chat one night earlier to finish off with a bang. I know a lot of you love the fireside chats, as do we, and I think it's going to be slightly different, a few slightly different things or kind of focuses of the fireside chat, obviously because it's a farewell chat, I guess. So possibly there's going to be 1 or 2 clips of my history and Nikki's history here at Djuma. There's some hyena tracks coming into Djuma from down this road. But that's not what we're looking for. Hyena tracks litter all the roads in the morning. They cover huge distances every night. So So it's one animal that you don't really track down. Unless, of course, you're James Henry and you're looking for their new den site, then you track them and you find them like he did. He is the one that we can thank for finding the new hyena den and the old hyena den before that. And I think even the one before that, no, I think that might have been Steph, but James could have been there with him. That may have been a collaboration. Sharon, Brian, and Michelle, you guys are expressing your interests in going to the hyena den for some cuteness. I'm sure that is a possibility. I know that I'm quite far from there now, but I'm going to continue my border patrol, and if we don't find anything interesting to follow up on, then I will end up close to where the hyena den is. So I'll be happily to pop my head in there unless we get distracted along the way. Not too sure what James's plans are at the moment. Hello Susan, in Los Angeles. You would like to know if we ever see crested guinea fowl in this area? And no, sadly we do not. They are seriously funny looking birds, the crested guinea fowl. Did I say crested francolin? I meant crested guinea fowl, if I did. So we get the helmeted guinea fowl here, and I'm going to show you in the book the differences between the two. The helmeted is the one on the right with the blue head and that large helmet. It was made out of keratin, almost like a horn. And then look at this thing's funny little wig. They are hilarious. And when they walk, they kind of jiggle and bobble from side to side. Hilarious. Tina Turner wigs. They like quite forested areas. And you find them usually far north in the Kruger. That's where I've seen them in an area called the Porphyry Triangle. Which are quite thick, well-forested areas is where they like to live, along big rivers as well. You get another kind of vulture up in East Africa called the vulturine guinea fowl. Do yourself a favor and check that one out. Got incredibly pretty hackles along its breast and throat and a strange bluish head. Gabby, you'd like to know if we have any form of turkeys in South Africa, and no turkeys here, sadly. The most turkey-like bird, I guess, is probably the southern ground hornbill, this individual over here. But it isn't a turkey, it's a hornbill, but it's, I guess, a similar looking bird that one could get confused with. But no turkeys in South Africa, unless they're, of course, the domesticated ones. What you guys need to do is ask Brian to make his turkey noise. That is going to make you laugh. He has got the turkey down. So that's something you can look forward to when you go back onto James's vehicle. I'm very happy that Brian is James's cameraman this morning. he can make the best turkey noise I think anyone on the planet is capable of. So I hope he's in the mood to speak some turkey to you this morning. Whee! Thank you. Excuse me. Okay, well, we will be sending you back to James. Goodbye.
Go for Brian. Isn't that an impressive turkey noise? For the first time I heard Brian do the turkey noise, I was off the vehicle because I was trying to do an introduction to the safari. From off the vehicle, I said, Brian, just make like a natural sound when we live. Just go make it, or a. And I went behind the termite mound, and the next thing I heard was that. Exactly. And I was in hysterics for the next 20 minutes. I was unable to speak, and that was thanks to Brian's gobbling noise. There. Is that a mongoose there? Or is it just a hole? We're trying to find mongoose, everybody. No, it's just a hole. I'm sure that's the little den that they have. Let's just see if we can't hear them making their morning calls. That's not a mongoose, that's me. Of course, on every other day, you can find mongoose running around with a great profusion, as many as termites. But on the one day you actually seek them out, they are nowhere to be seen. A little bit like Schrodinger's cat. You don't know what that means, do you, Brian?
I do.
You do.
I do.
Norman, Michigan, we've just been looking at that termite mound, and you want to know how long it takes him to make a 3-meter high termite mound. Well, it depends. I know people often hate to get depends answers, but it does really depend on how wide it is. So sometimes they just build straight up into the sky, and that would take them. I've seen a 3-meter one actually go up in about a month, say. But to make a really wide one like that one there, and that was about probably 2 meters tall, 2.5 meters tall, that would be, I mean, they're probably looking at about 30, 40, maybe 50 years to make a mound that large. Just going to ease down here onto the clearing, Impala clearings. See if we can't find some mongoose here. Oh, that's a remarkable achievement that you have, Cecilia. You say you can make a mean call of a seal. Brian, what does a seal do? Cecilia, please send us a voice note if you can. What is this? It goes. I've forgotten what a seal does, Brian.
I'm not sure either.
Ow, ow, ow. Don't take time.
Depends on the seal, though.
I suppose it does depend on the seal species and whether it is playing with a ball or not. Cannot find a mongoose for love nor money. We will turn around here. I think that herd of buffalo came through here at some stage yesterday evening. I know that, of course, by the quite astonishing amount of dung that's been deposited all over the ground. An extremely important part of the ecology of this area is buffalo dung. It is very fertilizing, and on a clearing like this, which of course you can see now has a green sheen to it as a result of that little bit of rain we had, that buffalo dung will play a hugely important role in maintaining the health of this clearing. We're going to turn around. No, we're not going to carry on here. Ooh. Brian? Look. Now, Vicky, you give Brian a 9.5 for his turkey gobble. Well, I'm not sure where the other half a mark would come from, but thank you for that. And Lucy in South Bend, you say he sounds exactly like a turkey. He mercifully does not look like a turkey. I really enjoy these swallows, and I think they're sitting like this just before they mass. They're about to leave. They're about to head back to Gerda in Belgium, not Belgium, in the Netherlands, and of the Luberon Valley in the south of France. Soon they will be heading that way. 32 days, 8,500 kilometers. That's quite a distance for a little bird like that to cover. Isn't that amazing? That's the barn swallow, everyone. And Anna-Marie, you saw some robins today, a male and a female, and you say that's your first sign of spring. Well, that's good. I would have thought it's quite early. But yes, the robins have clearly sensed change. Brian also does a number of other interesting vocal impressions, the most impressive of which I think is the impression of Popeye the Sailor Man. Brian, would you like to do Popeye the Sailor Man?
Olive, Olive.
That barn swallow doesn't seem to mind. So as I was saying yesterday, about the barn swallow, of course, 32 days migration, 8,500 kilometers, which is miles. As you divide that by 1.6, and you'll get the number of miles. So roughly, probably about 5,500 miles. And I've just got to get that out of my head now. We've had a pretty rough season, okay, not much water. We definitely have far fewer insects than normal, which means that the fat layer, or the fat deposit that those swallows are able to have laid on for their big migration, I think is going to be less. And therefore, I think fewer of the swallows are going to make the long trip. So that's a little bit sad. It's completely normal, completely within the realms of our sort of functioning biosphere of the Earth, but I do think that fewer of them are going to make it back to breed this year. And they don't sit like that normally. Normally in the middle of summer, they'll be flying around, they'll be in a group. That kind of sitting behavior where they sit and stare longingly to the north is an indicator that they're about to leave. It's so interesting to watch. Something clicks over in their physiology and they just know it's time to move. There's a clearing ahead here where there are some mongoose quite often. One nice thing about Wendy, of course, apart from her fairly recalcitrant manner, is that she has some much softer suspension than the other two. So it's a lot more comfortable driving her. Lots of elephant activity around last night, much done, much in the way of footprints, tracks. Brian, there must be a dwarf mongoose here somewhere, surely. Or a leopard. I'll take a leopard. There is a kudu. It seems to be grazing, which is an odd thing for a browser to do. He's a magnificent bull, that. think I heard a mongoose. No, it's not. It's a bird. Interesting. Maggie, you've asked an interesting question about, we had that little discussion about carnivores and herbivores and who lives longer, and the implication there, of course, was that it was the diet. Maggie, and you saying, is it not more the size? I think it's probably a bit of both, but a leopard, for example, which can live, in theory, to about 16 years. Well, I mean, I suppose it's the same length of time that a buffalo would live. I think in captivity, a buffalo might live a little bit longer. I think also, quite apart from the diet, which of course they've all adapted to eat, I think what you'll find is that the toll of life, being a carnivore, is a lot harder. Hunting and defending territory the way that a carnivore does, because I think it's, you know, I mean, the reason there's so many fewer carnivores than there are herbivores, of course, is that it's a lot more difficult to live like that. Now, if you live as a lion and you're defending territory consistently and you are basically, I mean, to hunt something, if you're a lioness, to take down a zebra is a major physical strain. And I think that you'll find that even though they live the same, potentially have the same lifespan as something like a buffalo, they will generally live less time because the strain taken by the body is that much more. So I think in captivity, where a leopard can live for up to 20 years in captivity, and what the equivalent size herbivore would be an impala, I suppose. An impala, I think, would probably potentially live that long in captivity as well. So without the sort of strains that they take, I don't think it's a diet-related issue. I'm not sure it's a size-related issue either. I think it is largely to do with the stresses and strains of being a carnivore rather than a herbivore. Very nice query, that. It's a very nice thing to think about. I'm not sure that I've quite nailed down the answer yet. We're getting a bit late for the mongoose now. I think many of them are going to be out of their dens already. But were we to see a leopard, I would happily sacrifice the mongoose GoPro activities. Interesting, Cindy, you say, is it possible that the dry season here may lead us into a wetter dry season? So we've had a drought, might we have a wetter winter than we would normally? See, Cindy, it's possible, but it wouldn't be one as a result of the other. So, I mean, because we've had a drought, a very dry, wet, rainy season, it wouldn't follow necessarily that we would have a wetter, the dry seasons. It's possible that it could happen, but one wouldn't follow the other. Oh, hello, Beefy. Look at that big buffalo. Yes, very, very cross. And running off and trotting off into the bush. I've often thought to myself that I'd like to introduce a matador to one of these things. Those people who still think it's acceptable to be stabbing bulls. To introduce them to an African buffalo and see how they like that. That one, of course, is having his nose picked by an oxpecker, which is a lovely thing to do in the morning. It's like a sort of spa treatment, I suppose. Clean out the nose, get the ticks out of the nose. That oxpecker nearly landed on Brian's head. Right, it decided better of it and has settled on the buffalo. Now, while we are sitting here listening for mongoose alarm calling, I'm going to send you across to Scott, who is sitting at the moisture and verdant lands of Buffelshoek Dam.
Well, welcome to the Buffelshoek waterhole. As you can see, the woodlands kingfishers are keeping us entertained here. They, I think, are having their morning bath. There's a very, very vague chance. There goes another one. Well done, Jandre. Oops. So, great work there, Jandre, on camera. Not an easy thing following these woodlands kingfishers as they have their morning bath. There's 3 of them perched up in those bushes. You can just probably see 3 a little bit more to the right. You'll get the 3rd one in as well, Jandre. There we go. And they're all having their morning bath time. These are kingfishers that actually don't rely on fishing for food. They catch insects for their prey, not frogs or fish as their name suggests, so that can be a little bit misleading. The woodlands kingfishers are coming from literally all angles. There must be at least 7 or 8 that are doing their rounds here, and here's one's landed right up in the tree next to us. That's awesome. Now what we could expect to see is some of their displaying where they, as they land on the branch after their flight, they'll hold their wings up high into the air, displaying their beautiful bright turquoise backs. So that's something that I'm hoping we're going to see. The birds are going ballistic here, and what I'm going to suggest is we just keep quiet for 30 seconds or so and listen to the morning bird song. Genre at the top of this tree over here, there's a rare individual called an African pied wagtail. This is a bird that we may not have shown you many times before. Like I said, it's the African pied wagtail. If and when it walks along the water's edge, it will be wagging its tail wildly, hence its name. Oh, Jandre, at about 1 o'clock, there was some action unfolding. There it goes, a predatory bird from right flying to... There we go, great work. I'm not too sure what it is, but it's a little raptor, possibly a gabar goshawk or something along those lines, maybe a lizard buzzard. Awesome, awesome stuff. What a beautiful day it is, and you can certainly tell by the birds that they are enjoying the sunshine. Good news, we have got a slow motion clip that the girls in FC have prepared for you of the woodlands kingfisher plummeting into the water, so take a closer look and enjoy. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm not sure if it was necessarily this individual that you saw, as there are many woodlands kingfishers that have come here for a bath. There's another little kingfisher that I'm keeping my eye out for called a malachite kingfisher. They are tiny, so easy to overlook, but have got awesome, awesome coloration on them. Oranges, dark blues, considerably different to the woodlands kingfishers that we've been taking a look at now. Wonderful. Well, it seems like the chaos has calmed down, so let's continue on. I want to keep checking our northern boundary and keep slowly making our way towards the hyena den. As we go through this little dip, we may lose picture temporarily, but don't go anywhere. It'll pop back up shortly afterwards, so hold tight as we go through this little dip. Still there? Good, it should be clearing up now. Okay. Our beard, you'd like to know if we see any ostrich here in the Sabi Sands, and not very often, no, but it is possible to see ostrich here. In the Manyeleti Reserve, which is just north of us, not far at all, they've got a lot more open grasslands and plains, and there ostrich sightings are common. But even very close by, now I'm talking, that's 10 miles away, you'll start seeing ostriches very commonly. Whereas where we are here, it's just the wrong habitat. It's a bit too thick for them. So that's why we very seldomly see them. I think James has seen one giraffe, and myself, ostrich rather, and Brent. We've all seen, I think, the same ostrich that moved through the Sabi Sands when we were all working to the south of where we are now. So we've all agreed and worked out that it was all in a very similar time frame. It was a female ostrich. So we're guessing the one and only time we have all seen one was probably the same individual making her way through the area. They are fascinating birds, ostriches, Mr. Arbeard in Colorado. Quite scary, actually. I find them quite scary. I don't know what it is about them. Another bird that we don't have occurring here, or that I don't actually I've never actually heard of, is a flicker. Oh, Sandy in Oregon, you were wondering whether we get them here, or a little duiker. Oh, we can see you. You can run, but you cannot hide. Look at its little tail waggling. Well, you have a good day. Seems like nothing's gonna get in your way this morning, Mr. Duiker. And enjoy nibbling on those fresh green shoots. That's a fully grown adult male, and it's probably only about knee high. So Sandy, obviously a flicker is a bird that's similar to a woodpecker, because you've acknowledged that we do get the woodpeckers here. But no, I've never heard of a flicker, and we do not get them here. But what we do get is hornbills, one of my favorites, and this one is perching itself perfectly in the bright morning sunshine. Right? I think we're looking at different ones, Jean-Andre. There's another one higher, right up there. Yeah. Sorry. There we go. Look at that bright pink pouch below its beak there. Hello. Hello. I love chatting a little bit of hornbill. What are we saying to one another? I don't know. But it's fun. There are such characters, the hornbills, and these are some really wonderful views. Perfect morning sunshine, bright blue sky in the background. It's sitting in a silver cluster leaf tree, and you'll pick up that kind of silvery tinge.
Los much. I'm in low way.
Now, if it gets really worked up, it's going to start holding its wings up. I think it may go for it. Oh, no. Come on. Put your wings up. They're kind of just building up to a crescendo here slowly. It just appears that there's one feather out of place that needs to be repositioned before the main show. Ah, it's a happy couple getting ready for the day. Come on, come on. Come on, give us the full show. They're thinking about it. They'll hold their wings high up above their head once they get into full swing. One more try. You've got one more chance, guys. Come on. Perfect. You took your last opportunity, and we thank you for that. How awesome was that? Hey, that was just too good to be true. Maybe one more time. Here goes. Thank you, Hornbills. That was awesome. Let's maybe just see. I think they might do one more. They seem to be in full swing now. Here they go. Legends. Thank you, little birds. We're going to leave you to it and continue making our way towards the hyena den. Perfect timing. Off you go. And we will be sending you guys off to some Inyala with James.
That is me making the sound of a mongoose. Well, a poor sound of a mongoose, attempting to coax them out of what used to be, or possibly still is, a burrow for them in this particular part of quarantine clearings. Those obviously are not mongoose. Mongoose are not antelope with horns on them. They are small carnivores. Those are two nyala, two youngish male nyala, just about in the prime of their lives. One on the left, younger than the one on the right. And they are just walking through this clearing, trying to find something delicious to eat. Now, they are browsing antelope. And so what they're looking for largely will be forbs. Now, a forb is the kind of nondescript term for any kind of herbaceous plant that isn't a grass. So it would be kind of an unidentified flower or an unidentified herb growing on the ground. So although they look like they're grazing sometimes, they're normally going for what we'd call a forb. But most importantly, there are no mongoose here. You can hear the subtle dawn chorus, ubiquitous woodland kingfisher. Lots going on in the background. Greater blue-eared glossy starling, an oriole. Scott reckons that the mongoose should only be getting up now. They're still sleeping. Brian kind of tends to agree, don't you, Brian? And certainly, I mean, that one time that Brian and I went on a walk, and we got to within 2.5 meters of them, that was much later on in the morning, wasn't it?
No.
So maybe they're just very lazy. say when I make that mongoose attracting sound, it sounds like I'm kissing myself in the mirror. I have nothing to say to that, Jinbi. But thank you for warning me of it. What I shall do is make sure that Brian puts the camera on me so that you will know that I am not kissing myself on the wrist, for example, like a practicing teenage girl. Jinbi, I'm not going to be too shy to ever say it again. Here are the guinea fowl again. Let's just stop here. Brenda, you're in Virginia, and you say that the guinea fowl, there are domesticated guinea fowl in the US. That's very interesting. I knew that, I think they're bred for food there, aren't they? That guinea fowl has got fresh elephant poop all over its face. So really pleased that I don't have to do that to get a meal in the morning. Elephant dung, if it's ripened to the right age, say about 2 weeks, is really pleasant smelling, but at its current form, no, not nice. It's a really nice shot of a guinea fowl. Caught in the early morning light. I'm still searching the clearing here for sign of dwarf mongoose. Gorgeous morning. A couple of Birchall starlings calling off to the side. A very cross Franklin. No leopards at this stage. All right, let's drive along. Hello, Barb in Canada. Barbara, that Google Maps, you want to know if you can get hold of a map here so that you can follow along on the game drive. Barb, the best thing to do is just to go to Google Maps. The roads of Djuma are largely labelled there. So you can just put in Djuma Private Game Reserve on Google Maps, zoom in there, and you can see exactly where we are and what we're doing. I'm not sure the roads on Arathusa are. In fact, I don't think they are, but they certainly are for Djuma and for Cheetah Plains. Brian, where are the mongoose? That's interesting. Lois, you said that guinea fowl are sometimes used as a watchfowl in the US. A watchfowl, of course, being something that you might use a goose for, like a watchdog. I didn't know that. That's interesting. I suppose they are very good at alarm calling. A watchfowl. That's interesting. In Siberia, Zumi, you say your father used to keep some guinea fowl, 2 guinea fowl, and what they used to do is keep the tick population down. That's interesting. I wonder who decided. I mean, there must be similar kind of evolutionary equivalents in the US. I suppose a turkey, really. Isn't a turkey a naturally occurring bird in the continental US? Brian, that was your cue. There we go. Apparently they are used like a goose. Thank you for that, everybody. Now, Kimber, like Simba, but with a K, Kimber, You want to know what those elephants are looking for in the guinea fowl dung. What the guinea fowl are looking for in the elephant dung, they are looking for invertebrates. So any kind of termite, or a fly larvae, or the larvae of a beetle, or even a beetle itself that may have landed on the dung, that will then be eaten by the guinea fowl. They're not eating, I suppose they might also eat some fresh seeds if they found some seeds there, but it would be largely the insects. I'm just hearing something up ahead there. It's an alarm-calling squirrel sitting right here. Now a squirrel, normally a great liar. Just looking behind us. And they don't shout at human beings normally. That's quite sweet though, isn't it? What are you shouting at, rodent? Where are the mongoose? Ah, not here. I see. Traumatic. Yes, I know. Must have been difficult for you. But you are going on a bit now. Okay, let's head back across to Scott. He's got some hornbills. I'm going to give the squirrel a talking to and then find some mongoose. Shut up.
Well, we are also searching desperately for any sign of these dwarf mongooses, and a good place to check is on top of termite mounds, and we found some more yellow-billed hornbills. These ones are feeding on the termites, and it's a perfect combo deal because there's not only delicious breakfast on this ginormous termite mound, but there's also a nice warm column of air coming up out of that little chimney where the hornbill's feeding. Obviously we can't see that, but I can guarantee you there's the hornbill's mate, come back. I can guarantee you there's a very, very warm air rising up out of that hole, and it's still quite a crisp morning, so the hornbill's going to be enjoying a warm spot to have a plentiful breakfast. James Richards, I couldn't agree with you more. The sighting we shared earlier with the hornbills was one of the best that I've managed to have with you guys, so very happy that that worked out. And wasn't it wonderful that we got to see them kind of from start to finish building up that crescendo, or to that crescendo, and it is marvelous that the way they synchronize their little dance move. We're going to leave them be because a few moments before you joined us, I did share some hyena audio nearby, and we are quite close to the hyena den. So let's keep going.